Okay. Now, is this working? Can everybody hear me? All the different stuff. You know, this is weird because yeah, I have never come across issues with streaming, to be honest, other than quality of the streams. So apologies if anybody was watching that previous video or the previous live. I'm here now, and yeah, this is very odd. Oh wait, hang on. YouTube, hang on. Maybe this is why. Maybe this is why. Hang on. Okay, do this. Because that was the wrong link. Try that. Oops. There, see if that works. Yeah, so actually what it was, I was sending you the wrong... Yeah, I was sending the wrong link, to be honest. So what it was, I sent you the link to my studio live streaming, but you don't have access to that. That's what was the problem. Just figure that out now. So it just, that was dumb. I did not even think about that, but it's something that happens. I don't I don't typically go live on the laptop. I usually go live on my phone. So phone is just a lot easier. It notifies people better, it seems like, and it's just one of those things. But anyway, so I'm back here. Um yeah, hopefully there you go. Yeah, see, and it was just, again, just the wrong link, and it happens. Um it is what it is. But so here's something funny. Cuz me and Shane in the chat, we were live sort of chatting last night, just, a Facebook call, video chatting. He was giving me some, letting me know on some stuff on my LED sequentials. And to be honest, there's some headway with that, because what I actually did was I realized, oh, wait, you know what? It's going to work, and it's not going to damage the connections. So I didn't have to get acetone. What I actually did was I looked around and I found, hey, look, I have WD-40. That works as a cleaner, and just make sure you wipe it all down afterwards, and it worked just fine. So I cleaned the board, like, it's 98% clean. It's much better, but they're not in the car because I forgot to grab butyl rubber while I was out. I grabbed connectors because I lost the one connector that I was playing with last night with it, and yeah, I don't have a way to seal the taillights right now, so I'll have to pick that up tomorrow. And then, because one thing is, I won't have a lot of time tomorrow. Okay, Saber, just get over here. There you go. Hi, buddy. It happens. It's mistakes that we make, right? I was at the thing, and like, I did something though that's just like, hey, I finally have a nut for my shifter, so it's actually in the right way, and it shouldn't get loose or anything like that. And it's good now because I hadn't had a nut on there. And what's nice is that it's like that anodized finish, so it's that kind of goldyish color, and it matches the thing. And that was just a friend of mine commenting on something. Oh, commenting on my post. Oh, that was Lance. I was waiting to hear back from him because I wanted to borrow his some crimpers from him because I needed to re-crimp a wire, but I don't have a set of crimpers here. It's really sad, actually. Um, and yeah, because Lance, like, he's my neighbor. He owns this really badass C10. And it's honestly just, I've driven the truck, and it's amazing. There will be a kind of review of his truck. It's gonna be an odd review because of the way it is. Yeah, I'm not doing that. Like, I tried to use pliers, but it wasn't really working because it wasn't doing all sides at once. So that's the reason why it kind of let loose. I thought I had it tight enough, but it was not tight enough apparently. So I'm not using my teeth for that. No worries. Clippers. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow. There we go. So, yeah, just ask my buddy. Oh no, I'm taking my blanket back there, cat. You don't get the blankie. I get the blankie because it's actually really warm outside. I was outside and it's only like -2 degrees outside. It's beautiful. Okay, he's going up to the window. Okay, have fun there, Saber. So yeah, Saber's just at the window checking out my car. That's what he does. He'll jump up there and so the other cat. But anyway, so yeah, I cleaned the LED board and it's much better than it was. I just need to recrimp the one wire and then it'll be fine. To plug it back in. But like I said, I don't have a way to seal the taillights at the moment, so I'll have to wait for that. Because I do need to take both of them apart so that I can fix it. But I can honestly make do with just putting the one in that's proper and then fixing the other one today. Oh, congratulations. That is awesome. Yay. Honestly, love hearing that sort of stuff. Nothing to do with children that well. Like, depending on the child. But, however, that's awesome. Although I will say I'm better than my brother because my brother was absolutely useless when it came to dealing with babies. Because like when my nephew was born, um, it was only a few months after he was born, and we took a trip to Kelowna, in which now he's 13. I think he's 13 now, 12 or 13. Um, Oh, Saber, why are you doing it that way? Oh, you're gonna knock shit over. Just okay. Now I'm shocked. You didn't knock anything over doing that. Hi, buddy. You're back. Welcome back, Saber. But yeah. So, um, like doing this trip because we were in this honestly reliable but rusty as hell 87 Honda Accord sedan. It was a 5-speed. It had a sunroof in it, which the only sunroof I've ever seen on an old car that didn't leak. It was amazing. And also, you never got rained on unless it was like heavy rain because it was designed for that. It wasn't an afterthought. That's the one thing with Hondas that I love. Hondas have much higher quality than our American cars by far. I like my American cars, don't get me wrong, but there's something about old Hondas that the quality is just there, right? And um, yeah, it's one of these things. But because something though, like if people watch my video that I did, where the lights just kind of had a spasm, to be honest. So, and I think I figured out what that was. It wasn't just how dirty the board was, but also that crimped wire. I think was a little loose. There we go. It was just that was just my friend texting me real quick. So, because I just asked him like maybe tomorrow for the crimpers, and because I could crimp that thing back together and just do a test of it early. Just plug it in, do a test, see if it works, and then if it's working just fine, then I can actually adjust it so that the speed is correct, so it does all of them, and then come Actually, yeah, no, I could do that all tomorrow because I keep thinking it's like Wednesday, but no, it's Tuesday right now. Because I need to grab my dad from the airport on Thursday, so that's one of those things, and I'm just not really thinking of this stuff. Just my honestly, my schedule in my head is just whack, just whack. Like I said, and it's just not working as well as I'd like. But yeah, and actually I want to do this because this is actually kind of cool. I've never used this. There's this extension with YouTube that it shows you the concurrent viewers, chat rate, and views all together. It's kind of nice. See, for me, I actually do care because there is stuff coming up on certain days that I need to pay attention to. Like, I do want to hit it this year. We'll see, and who knows? I might go up with my buddy Lance. To be honest, um, there's a swap meet coming up on not this weekend, but next. There's a classic car auction this weekend, but I probably won't hit that up. But the other thing that I mentioned, the swap meet, I probably will. I'm not gonna be buying anything. I might be selling stuff there. We'll see. And mainly, it's just to I'd like to go around swap meets and see what's there and start filming stuff, right? And I get to see people that I don't get to see. Like it's possible Roy Marco is gonna be there. It's possible that my friend down from Medicine Hat is gonna be there. His name is Corey. He's got some cool cars actually. Just I've only met him once, and it was actually at that same swap meet. And then just other stuff, and like it's a big venue that it's at, so I do like the big swap meets like this. And we'll see. Hopefully I'll be able to make it to that, but we'll have to see how money situation is going to be for that. But then of course, going into May, I have the Dino Day, and if I get enough money together to try and buy tickets to go see Disturbed, because Disturbed is my favorite band, and I've seen them once, and they're just incredible. And I want to see them again. And they don't come to Alberta too often with concerts that I can actually go see. So, this would be a good instance for that. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes if I'm able to do that. You've never been to a concert, or just to see Disturbed? Period. Because if you've never been to a concert, man, that is sad. Because I've been to a few. Never been to a concert. Oh wow. Wow. That's amazing. I've been to, let's see. I've seen The Cult, I've seen Guns N' Roses, I've seen Billy Talent twice or three times. I've seen Disturbed once, I've seen Headley. That might be it, actually. It might have only been 5 total concerts, 5 or 6. So, it's not been a lot of concerts I've been to, but I've been to a few. And it's just I like concerts. It's a fun atmosphere, and just hearing the stuff live is awesome. Like hearing Disturbed live, because they're not much different than their studio. Honestly, they're almost identical. That's what happens when you go to a rave. To be honest, I've been to one rave back in the day, long time ago, when I can still do that because I don't have the energy anymore to keep up with a rave, right? And okay, don't care about that. Just when I get notifications on my phone, is just like, do I care about it or no? And that one I didn't care about. But yeah, it's just one of these things. And with concerts and everything, it's fun. Concerts are fun. Like now, I've never been to a concert alone, but this might be a concert that I'm at alone, because every other concert I've had either my dad with me or a friend of mine with me for the one, or something like that. So, or even just my mother the one time, but I'm not in contact with her anymore. So, yeah, it's one of those things, because the Headley concert, that was with her. because that was surprising. Last minute, we were able to get another ticket and sit together. Now the Headley concert kind of sucked. I'm not gonna lie. Like, and that, knowing what I know about Headley now, I wouldn't have gone to see that. Like, the concert wasn't that great. I've seen much better concerts from other people, but yeah. Although, like, interestingly, like driving the car, because the one thing is, it's much warmer than it has been. So honestly, driving the car, it's just so much happier. Because when it's cold, like really cold, and then once the car is warmed up and you go to drive, it still doesn't quite have that throttle responses. When it's warm, that thing is just very snappy, like when it's warm outside. Because I don't really feel when it's cold that it is as snappy as it is right now. So it's quite fun. I was having a bit of fun driving the car today. Honestly, just because it doesn't take much in an old car that, because I'll always say that's true. It is. Um, and that's just one of those things that I do. It's one of these things that I do like about the car, though. Like, especially when it's warm, because when it's really hot, it obviously changes too. And like, because one thing is with air fuel ratio, like it changes with anything that's different. Air fuel ratio will change if it's raining, if it's snowing, if it's hot, if it's cold. It deals with everything has to do with it, right? Everything. And that's something that people don't realize. And that's the one thing. And I know, like, with this injection system, because, really, the only thing that we're just, like, figuring out that ratio to where it's good when it's, like, warmer. And then, if it acts like how my carburetor does now, that's fine. I don't care, right? Or if I just adjust it for the wintertime, then adjust it for the summertime, if I can do that too. That's the beauty of this system of just being mechanical that way. Of I can adjust it, where a lot of these EFI systems are electric and you need specialty programming to try and break into it and blah blah blah, blah, and it costs you so much money. And it's just better, just simple screws or bolts. But yeah, and actually I'm assuming that's kids golf that's idling. Well, it's probably the driveway scene. I don't know why the neighbors park the way they do. It's really annoying. But because my neighbors, they have 3 vehicles. There is, which I don't care that they have 3 vehicles. It's just the way they orient them that I don't like. So the minivan is in the driveway, and it's at the very front of the driveway. Then behind that, the kid will park his Golf, and then parked sideways in front of their house is this big ass quad cab long box 4x4 F250. Like, it's a big ass truck. And it gets really tight. Like, if we're trying to go in and out, like in the driveway, it makes it very tight to try and maneuver around. Still do it, but I just don't like them parking there. See, that could work too. I mean, it's one of these things where you have the full reins of this. Of whatever you want to do, that's totally up to you, right? And like, there will be some cost on my end, obviously, for some stuff, because as well, like, I know that when I build out the header, I do want to add an O2 sensor into there, and I'll probably just use one from, like, again, we're using 3.8 parts, so may as well just use one sensor from a 3.8. Simple, right? Simple. Because, or maybe two, depending on how we do it, because I don't know with this header if we're going to design it with two, so for the dual exhaust to be technically a true dual exhaust, or if we're going to keep the sort of Y and go out to the dual exhaust. I'm thinking probably do dual outlets and make it proper, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Because I don't know. I haven't really thought of that yet. Because one of these things, but once that header is made, there's honestly only one shop that I trust, so I'd have to drive the thing open header to Unless if we can get the stock exhaust manifold back on and bolted up, because otherwise it'd be open header all the way to freaking Leduc, which is about 2 hours away. So give or take, it's about 2 hours. So yeah, and that thing would be super loud. It's already loud enough if you just have the manifold open going down the highway. Because I've had it, not suggested, but I've done it twice actually. So yeah, and that thing is really loud. And because something I do want to add to the car though, it'd be cool, and I can add it anywhere in the exhaust. That's the beauty of when I'm done designing my own exhaust, and in the future, I want to do cutouts, because just for that loud sort of thing, in my tracks or whatever, I'd have optimal, much better flow, because it's not having to go all the way out the back. It'd be good. See, and I've heard honestly. Well, okay. The one thing is though, because it's 3.8, because it's V6 is typically, when doing that, yes, they do have that more raspy tone. But these inline sixes, because they actually sell on eBay, you can buy this dual exhaust header. The people who put it in their car, I've heard their exhaust, and a lot of them are pretty baritone, and I like that with the duals that way. Yeah, but we'll see, to be honest. Because also, something that I would like to do as just a temporary sort of setup for it is do a single right into that the pipe that we already have there, and just do an exhaust clamp around that really quick or something, just to seal it temporarily and see how it sounds. And then honestly, with the dual, and to be honest, with the dual header, it'll give me a good idea of how it's going to sound, period, even just with it open headers, and then it quiets down going through the mufflers, right? Because I do have aluminum chambered mufflers in that car. I don't know what they are, to be honest, but they just, obviously, I love the sound that it makes currently. But because it's going to get louder, and it's going to have a bit more of a baritone noise, to be honest, when it has the long tube header on it. But we'll see exactly what we do. I've heard some other ones that sound pretty good with that dual exhaust eBay header. But it's something. And actually, so one thing that happened last night, after I was finally able to to get to sleep, or just about. I wasn't quite asleep yet. This was about 5:30 or so in the morning. Saber, who is not, he is not a graceful cat at all. Jumping up onto the bed because he just wanted to cuddle. He goes right up beside my kind of shoulder here. Um, I usually pick him up because he's an old cat, but there is the stool there and everything, so he climbs up, and then what happens is one of his claws goes astray and scratched me right there. So I don't know if you can see that on camera. Yeah, you can kind of see it there. That really freaking hurt, and even just touching it still hurts a little bit. But yeah, when it's 5:30 in the morning and your cat decides, I'm gonna scratch you, not intentionally. It's probably one of his back claws, to be honest. But it just happened that way. It just dragged it. And, oh, I was surprised I wasn't bleeding, to be honest, because there was now mind you, he didn't jump on me, so there's that. He didn't have the penetration that way to do that. Because I have had that little shithead there. He was trying, Rascal. This was a couple years ago. He tried to jump off jump from the window onto my bed, but he missed, and he clipped me right underneath my eye, and it was bleeding actually. And it's just like, you little bastard, you know. He wasn't trying to, but he did. And speaking of which, hi, you little shit. I got both the kitties. Well, kind of. The one's on the end of the chair. and then I have Saber on my lap. There we go. Yeah, oh, definitely not. I hope not. Like, honestly, these guys don't typically hurt me that often. It's every few years that I get, a decent scratch from them. But it's just they're cats, and they're not intentionally doing it, and that's the one thing that people need to understand. Because my cats aren't that way. They don't attack. Um, they'll attack each other, but they don't attack us. And whenever they kind of are playful, like Saber, I can play with him anytime I want. He does this very thing, and it's only with me. Nobody else has been able to do this with him. That something that would normally piss a cat off with me, he thinks I'm playing. And which, to be honest, if I do it, I typically am. And, then he just kind of bats at me, whatever. I just have to be careful because if his claws are a little sharp, I can't get it. And he will actually bite me. But he's playing because he's purring and he's just happy. And it's just kind of funny. And that's only started in the past couple of years, to be honest. But he won't do it with my dad. It's only me. So, yeah, but actually something I actually want to talk about. Because there was this guy in one of the local car groups. I've been to a few of their meets. Honestly, the people there are fine for the most part. There's just always one guy, though. So, he's an electric car fan. Okay, fine. That doesn't matter. Hey, Rascal, no. Rascal, get down. Down. That's not getting down. That's going up. You little shithead. Fuck. What are you doing, you silly boy? He's on top of the liquor cabinet. And the liquor cabinet is like 7 feet tall. So, little shithead. Well. But anyway, so this guy, in this Facebook group that it's called the Dark Horses Mustang Club, and it's a local kind of Mustang group, and there's members in Edmonton, members in Calgary, members in Lethbridge. Obviously, I'm a member here in Sundre, and we're kind of just all over kind of Alberta. And the one thing is, he drives a Mustang Mach-E, which whatever, to be honest, I don't really care about the car. It is what it is. It's just one of these things. I think it's a good looking car, and as the car goes, apparently it's actually a pretty good car, but has a Mustang name on it and it's electric. Not my thing, but fine, whatever. I don't really care about the whole argument of it's not a Mustang, blah blah. Well, technically it is, and people just need to shut up about that. But fine. However, because I post the thing about my car, and when I was having problems with the car, my one sort of, because like when I was down on power and stuff like that, my go-to thing to do on the car was to do a compression test. And you can see that in earlier videos of my channel when, again, just to make sure, is the motor hurt? Because a compression test is a good indicator of that. Yes, a leak down test is far more effective, but you do need a compression test is much easier to do and doesn't require anything else other than a compression tester, period. Because obviously a leak down tester requires you to have a air compressor, right? To do properly. So, anyways, and this guy is always kind of a troll to me. Always asking, well, hey, did you do a compression test? Compression test? Because I did a few of them on my channel, and that's fine. Because it's a base good thing. Especially, like I said, if your car's down on power, a compression test is not a bad thing to do. Just to check, And I did have one issue with a compression test because the damn thing got stuck in cylinder 1. It was a cheap compression tester. And yeah, it was just one of these deals that way. So actually drove that thing on 5 cylinders to my buddy's place because he just had a little more tools and proper shop there. And then got it extracted from the hole. It took us about an hour of just cutting with a freaking angle grinder and stuff like that and got it out. Just, it happens. And then I had to get a new compression tester, which I have now. But anyway, so dealing with this guy, and again, he's always a troll. He's always saying crap like that all the time. And he goes out, and when I posted my last, sort of video there of just saying, hey, 4 years of ownership with the car, from you know, a car destined for the scrap heap to a custom daily driver, because it is, right? Yeah, it's not a full blown, like, oh, it's got a full custom suspension on it, and it's a wide body, and it's got 600 horsepower and stuff like that. No, obviously not. But when you do upgrades to your car, especially in the way that I've done it, it makes it customized, right? And it doesn't matter, to be honest. Like, you can have a custom car simply by just doing, like, even just accents, like painting your mirrors a different color, and doing like plasti dip on your interior for different stuff, or just painting the accents on your interior, right? It does make it customized. It's customized to you. It's not a full blown custom build, but it's one of those things. And my car, it's there's a lot of customized stuff on that car. And even my buddy Keith got into it with him because the guy was just being an idiot. And because he goes on and on and on about stuff. Because I mentioned all the mods I've done, right? Which has been quite a bit. Swapped out the rear end, for an 8.8 with 355s and a limited slip. I, put that T5 manual in the car, which it never came with the manual. It's an automatic. That was a ton of work. Deleted all the emissions, got the dual exhaust on it, the carburetor, all that different stuff, right? And it's improved the car immensely. Okay, so I will say, honestly, good tires, really good tires, right? Like, I have Nitto winter tires on it that are only 195 wide, right? So there's that, and a limited slip diff. If you have an open rear end, you're gonna get stuck all the time, and because I did get stuck constantly with that car when I had the open rear end. But with the limited slip rear end, I have a lot more traction, and it never gets stuck. And that whole common misconception of, oh, limited slip diff is bad for the wintertime. No, they've obviously never driven a limited slip in the wintertime period, because that whole myth of, oh, well, because it has traction on both tires, if it hits a piece of ice, there's more of a chance of it to spin around. Which, technically, yes, but no. Tire that's giving you traction as well. Because if one tire breaks loose with a limited slip, it's not a big deal. It's not like it's a welded rear end, right? Because if it was full on welded, then yeah, that'd be a much bigger problem. Or even just a locker, period. Right? That would be more of an issue. But a limited slip is much better because of how it's designed. And that's it. To be honest, just good tires and a limited slip rear end. Because yeah, I haven't gotten stuck at all. It's amazing how the car's been. Because my yeah, and it's really not that bad. Like, if you have an open rear end, that will cause you a lot of issues with winter, and even just in any situation where you're gonna have lower traction, period. So even if it's like really rainy out, it's not the way to do it. And tires is something that you don't cheap out on. Don't go for your Ironmans or anything like that, or any BS like that. So, because literally, my tires are 195 7014s for the wintertime. Summertime, a lot better tires I put on the car. Well, shouldn't say better, just wider, Even though, yes, like, I have Cooper Cobras and BFG TAs for the front, and then the Cooper Cobras for the back. For now. I do want to get Cooper Cobras for the front. But yeah, no, 245s, no. So the thing is, the thinner your tire, actually, the more traction you'll actually have in wintertime. It's a weird thing. Thicker, like, wider tires in the wintertime don't go as well. They just don't. Like, yeah, if you go, honestly, just get yourself some cheap, steely wheels. To be honest, the gear ratio doesn't make a difference, because I have 355s. So 355s compared to 373s, there's not a ton of difference between it. You know, like you'd have a little more acceleration and stuff like that, but honestly, that doesn't really, rear end gear ratio doesn't change much when it comes to traction. To be honest, in wintertime, has nothing to do with it. It's more your tires, and yeah, it's more your tires, and depending on like what compound you had and stuff like that, because like I had a little bit of issues with, now I was open rear end and I had these Arctic Claw tires. They look nice and beefy and everything. They're 205, 75, 14s. I liked them. But once I put these Nittos on there, oh, the Nittos just completely transform it. Now the beauty of these Fox bodies is you can honestly just, because running 14, 15-inch like wheels. Because I put 15s in the summertime, but 14s in the winter. And the only reason why I have 14s in the winter is because of the steely wheels that I had happen to be 14s. It's perfect. But then I've also found like tires that you can get them for like anybody that has an old Honda from like the 80s that had 14-inch wheels on it, like Accords and stuff like that. Because oddly enough, those Nitto tires, I only paid, it was $150 for the set, and they were almost brand new. And they were just on Honda wheels, so I had to take those wheels off, put them on Fox body wheels, bolt them onto the car. That's all I did. I paid, I think it was like $100 for the transfer over because I didn't have access to a wheel balancer and proper mounting thing. So yeah, it's just one of those things. So all in all, in those tires, I have like what, $200, $250, I think it is. So it's really not bad. But yeah, so just go thinner. Yeah, well, exactly. And that's one of those things. And because it sounds weird, like in the wintertime, you'd almost think, because like when you're on a track, you want as wide of tire as possible, right? Going around a track or even going down a drag strip, right? You want that wide tire. But in the wintertime, because like Shane just said, it provides more of a fine point of where the traction actually is versus spreading it out a bit. And so if you hit a piece of ice or whatever, it's not so bad. No, it's out front of my house right now. It's buried under snow at the moment. She is. And I can't even access the car right now. It's that buried. Like the snow on the side of the car is just right up to the door so far. So it's one of these things. This is the most snow we've had in years. So, and in years past, well, I should say, like, when I had the car with a 3.8 in it still, I didn't drive it in the winter. I threw winter tires on it and I drove it. That thing was fantastic in the wintertime. Even with the open rear end, it never got stuck. But it had those Nitto tires on it. No. No, it's outside. It's outside. And plus, I already know I'm never gonna race for pink slips, period. It's not my thing. Ever. And also you're in California. It's a bit of a trek, just a bit of a trek. Yeah, the problem is she's stuck. Like, so not only is the car with all the snow kind of around it, but think about it this way. So it is all the way on the actual ground. There's about a foot of snow at least all the way around the car. So the problem is it's actually getting it out of that hole. I wouldn't be able to. It's stuck. And it doesn't have that much fuel left in it right now. Which is a mistake, to be honest. When you're storing a car, especially if it's not a climate controlled area, you shouldn't do what I did. That thing has less, like it's not on much because water can get into the system via condensation. And no, that's not even going to do it. Because that's the opener end on that car, too. And it's got the tires on it are kind of crap, to be honest. Like, so those tires, they work. They're they look fine, but they're Westlake tires. They don't have the traction at all. And like the reason why I know that, I've had BFGs on cars or on that car, and then I've had those Westlakes on it. The BFGs were way better. I can go into a turn with confidence, and it wouldn't, skid out on me, or actually. So the Westlake tires give me understeer, right? Which I don't like understeer. Oversteer is better, but it would just understeer if you went into a corner too fast. They just do not. It's not the proper compound for that. My Cooper Cobras, however, they have the perfect compound, but it's not like with that 86 Mustang. I'm typically not driving in those conditions like that of like taking turns really fast. I'll go a little faster in a straight line, and I'll just kind of enjoy myself, with the top down. It's great. I love that car. And like once it's warmer, give it about a month, and I should be able to drive the car again. Should be able to, but we'll see. But I'm not gonna dig it out just for more snow to be dumped on it. It's not worth it. I will like wipe the roof off every now and then just to make sure that. I mean, it needs a new top anyways, but just to make sure that that extra weight isn't on the convertible roof. Although it can take it, honestly, it's fine. But it's one of these things where, it's like the car needs a little bit, a little bit of help. And to be honest, I don't know. We'll see. Because I might see, because who knows, we might be swapping that motor in the summertime, to be honest. It's just kind of a tired old motor, and I just like to get a little more power out of it, which my buddy Keith, he's got a few 302s lying around. He just picked one up in the summertime, and it would go perfect in that car. It'd just do the same thing that we did last time. Just put my intake and carb on it, and it's already wired with the MSD. And this time around, we wouldn't do it the way we did it. So we left the transmission in the car. That was a mistake. We should have pulled the transmission out with it because it would have been so much quicker, but we didn't. We pulled the motor separate from the tranny, and we left the tranny in the car. So pulling the motor out that way, it was difficult to reach the top bolts on the transmission, and also just putting it back in though too was such a pain to try and line everything up that way. It just would have been so much easier to pull it with a motor and tranny. And again, don't know why we did it that way. It's just that sort of thing. But it was my first ever kind of motor swap, right? And yeah, because like Keith has a motor that's out of an 87. Because I do want to talk to him to see if he would let it go or not. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure what his plans are with it because he bought it and it came with a T5 that it's the good T5. That's the V8 world class T5. That's the transmission you want. If you're gonna go with a T5, that's the one you want. They have better gear ratios and they're a stronger transmission altogether. Compared to like the T5 that's in my 81 Mustang, it won't hold up to a lot of power. Those things basically around maybe 350 horsepower, they tend to kind of break, but the world class tends to hold up to more like 450, 500. So it's not that my transmission is bad, it just wasn't intended for a lot of power yet. The world class was intended for a bit more power. So that's all. And it's just one of those things. They're just a better transmission altogether. And now, like, because even the 4-cylinders in the Aero Mustangs did actually get world class transmissions as well. They once you swap out the input shaft, it's honestly a really good transmission. The only thing is the gear ratios in a 4-cylinder, they are very close together. Well, you do realize that a T5 is a Tremec, right? That's what the T stands for in T5. is Tremec. That's an interesting problem because I haven't come across that, you know. But mind you, I haven't had my transmission in the car long, and it's not like I'm producing a lot of power. In fact, I might be with that transmission and a Fox body. It's possible I am making the least amount of power that anybody's ever made doing that swap into a Fox body. So I don't really have a problem like that. That transmission won't break, not with the current power it makes. In the future, it might, but we're never going to push it quite that far, you know. Because I seriously doubt I'll even make 300 horsepower by the time I'm done with the car, which is fine. It's still a daily driver, and it just will be fun. Every stick T5. Well, yeah, I've haven't or stock T5. See, I've never come across that, but I haven't dealt with too many T5s though. So there's that. Um, I've yeah, I mean, and Shane always used the M5R2. It's great transmission as well, but T5s are just more plentiful. Well, T5s are easier to find, but they are more expensive. M5R2s are kind of slept on, and people don't realize that they're actually really good transmissions. You know, the yeah, they're gear ratios are pretty decent in them, and they're just beefy, very beefy. Like M5R2 is actually a beefier transmission than a T5. They're longer, and the gears are like almost double the thickness of a T5 gear. So, oh, exactly, they're simple, very simple. Um, and like I said, they're plentiful. Like I only paid $300 for my T5. That was cheap, and it was nice because it came with the cross member and everything. It's like perfect. Don't need to change that. Now I did need to modify the cross member to put in my car, but other than that. And see, and the beauty of my car right now is, so if anything ever happens to the car, if it gets written off, I'd buy it back from the insurance and just take everything. Like if it got into a crash, right? I could rip everything out of that car as long as it's not destroyed or bent or whatever, and put it into another Fox body, no problem. That's an inline six Fox body. Just bam, plop all that in within about a week and done, right? In fact, probably even less time than that, because literally we wouldn't have to modify anything else. It would just bolt right in because we've already done all the modifications. So that's one of the beauties of that setup right now, of that car. And I hope to God nothing ever happens to the car. But if it does, there's backup plans, right? Because honestly, what I might do, because my buddy Keith, he owns this gray or silvery gray 81 Capri that I seriously want. I really want that car. Um, that's a toss up because I will say, depending on what I'm doing, if I'm doing more spirited driving, I would take Stitch, which is my 81. If I am wanting to cruise more, the 86 all the way. So 86 has, like the convertible top, the FM stereo, and it's just a nice car. It's not that loud inside because it's got, all the sound deadening proper in the car. The 80, Stitch doesn't. Stitch has barely any sound deadening in that car. Like no sound deadening on the roof. Nothing in the doors, and the floor. It's only the transmission tunnel that has it. That's it for sound deadening in that car. So what I do want to do, and in the summertime, because here's the thing, my buddy Keith threw this out there and said, "Do you want to maybe attempt an amateur paint job on the car come summertime?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course." And I would absolutely. Um, it's just one of these things, and because I could do that, it would take probably over a week, a couple weeks to do all the body work and paint on the car, but we could do it, and we can set up a temporary sort of spray booth in a Like, because the one thing is in the shop, it's kind of annoying only because the lift is in the way. That car might be small enough to where if we cleaned out all the crap he has in there, which there's a lot of stuff in there, it would take a while, but we might be able to squeeze it in the side door. And do it that way. And then that way we have the heated shop, so we can bake the paint. That way, because if it's the middle of summer and it's already hot in there, then we turn on the heat, it'll bake the paint pretty quick, actually. So it's kind of a nice setup that way because it doesn't have too much insulation on it. It's just a tin roof shop, nothing special, and it's a decent sized shop too. Like I wish he was closer to home with that because it would really make a difference with me being able to go to a shop. But it's just it's 2.5 hours. That's one thing I hate about it. I mean, and who knows in the future because he has offered. I might move up there. We just have to see. It's one of these things where it's something that I wouldn't mind doing because a lot of my connections are in Edmonton now. Yeah, there's a hockey game coming up, so I'm turning on the TV. There we go. But yeah, so basically, spirited driving, I'll take my 81 with the manual. Otherwise, it's the 86 with the automatic. And who knows? At some point, I might swap that automatic for a manual. Maybe. We'll see. Um, or the likely thing I'm gonna do is get an AOD for the car because the AOD I had was not really gonna work that well in that car. It's because it was for a um it was for an injected car, and once they went to injection they got rid of the kickdown cable and they went to a TV or kickdown linkage. They went to a TV cable, which the problem is with a TV cable, if it's not set up exact, you can blow up an AOD very quickly. The beauty of most of the ones with a kickdown linkage, they are much, or kickdown just in general, they're much better for that. If they're a little bit out of adjustment, it's okay. It won't damage the transmission. But those other ones can easily damage the transmission. That's what I don't like about them. But because I bought one in the summertime, and then I realized it is for a DFI setup, and so I just gave it to Keith, to be honest. It was one of those things because he technically gave me the money to go buy it, but then um he said, he actually asked me because he needs a transmission for one of his trucks, and his truck happens to be an EFI truck. So it's like, well, you can have that transmission because it's not going to work as well as an earlier AOD. Hello. But yeah, it's just one of those things. Um, and like, because plans for that car, I want to make more power out of it. Just I don't need a ton. Like, to be honest, if it made 200 horsepower, that'd be cool. Because currently it makes 130 to the wheels, which is just pathetic. It just is. Um, if I could make like 200 to the wheels, I'd be happy. I don't need to make a ton of power out of that convertible. And it's just a nice cruiser that I will race a little bit. I do want to add like a roll bar to the car. I want to add a roll bar in Stitch too, just because. But we'll see. We shall see what'll happen. And my buddy Pat, who's down in Vulcan, he really does enjoy creating roll bars and roll cages. So he's got his own bender and stuff like that, and we make it work. So this summertime, might be driving both cars down there, and just stay for a couple of days and get those in the car, and then drive them back. So we shall see. We shall see how that goes. Okay. Can I make this smaller? Okay, do that. Yeah, there we go. Put that down there. There we go. That'll work. That'll work. That'll do, donkey. That'll do. I was just I have this in YouTube Studio itself. It does have this thing. It's the same color. It's gonna be the same color that it is now. It's not gonna change from that. That car is gonna stay that gray. Just proper paint though, because we're gonna like disassemble the car and do a proper paint job on it. You know, we're not gonna take out the glass though. Like we're gonna do an amateur style paint job that this is typical of what if you don't have the money or the skills to do this in like the absolute proper way. This is how you do it, and it's nice because because you can see the color scheme I'm going with. That gray with the black accents up front, with the blue and the red going down the sides. Because I don't think I'm gonna keep that black strip going down the side. I just living with it for the months that for the few months that it's been on there. Not really a fan of it. So I like the red on blue better. So that's what's gonna happen, and because yeah, we're gonna create our own sort of paint booth within his shop, hopefully, figure it out, and yeah, and then actual spray gun, right? And then paint and like it won't. It'll probably cost in the neighborhood of about $300 or so for paint, give or take. Might be a little more than that because I haven't priced out paint since the pandemic hit. So there's that. But I'd get custom sort of made paint for it that's good quality. I don't want to get cheap paint. But it's one of those things, you know. And yeah, like in that car, it's gonna stay that way. And that's the one thing. Like that thing is going to be unique. When it's done, it's going to be very unique. And because there's stuff that I want to do to the car, but we'll see. We'll see about the body mods on it. And like, yeah, I've started it a couple times to be honest. It's it doesn't have a lot of fuel in it, so it's something that I just don't really want to start at the moment because of potential condensation within the fuel. Um, which can create a problem. It's not like it's going to wreck the engine. It's more like it's just gonna run really rough. Which last time I started, it actually started like it took quite a while to start, which I'm not shocked by that. I last started it over a month ago, so yeah, it's just one of those things. There we go, and make that smaller again. There we go, and do that. Perfect. And put that down there. Perfect. Yeah, no, and I do like put it this way. Once it gets to be warmer weather and like the snow is melted around it, I will drive the car because and like something that might happen in the summertime, to be honest, because I do want to do this. Yeah, it's bone stock radio. It's an AM radio. It's not the FM radio yet because there's only 3 wires going into it, and I just need to figure out which one's which because they're not color coded. They're all black for some stupid ass reason from the factory. So, and I have a radio to go in the car. It's out of an '82 Escort GT, and it should just bolt right in and work. I know it works because we did a temporary sort of setup of it working. So just with taking a battery and just a random speaker and made it work. because we don't want to rewire the car. It's not worth it to do that. And yeah, just figuring out some stuff. That's all. The beauty of that thing though is because it only has one speaker in it right now, but I can actually I can, as my brain stops working mid sentence, because of course. Um. Oh yeah, that's what it was. So that stereo that's in it currently is the factory AM radio that only has one speaker. Now, with Fox bodies, because multiple speakers was an option unless you had the FM radio, which then you got um, the speakers, right? All the speakers in the car, because you'd have potentially three up front, but more than likely two on FM radio cars, and then you had the two out back, in the um, at the what the hell is it called back there? The package tray. There we go. And like, I do have. It's just unfortunate. I'd have to test to see if these I just need to see. Like, I should just try and plug those speakers in and see if I can get them to work. Because they are a little tatty, but they'd be kind of cool to put in the car. Because they're not restored. They're ones I took out of my old parts car. Like, I had this a few years back. I had an '83 notchback parts car. I took the seats out of it, and I took the carpet, basically. Then I parted out the rest of the car. Well, I mean, to be honest, these old cars, if they're tuned correctly, cold starts are not too bad. Like, now, granted, if it's really cold, like really cold, they will struggle to start if it's not plugged in. Um, like, my car, even, like, it starts and runs just better when it's warmer for obvious reasons, because welcome to carburetors. But yeah, it's just, now I will say, so okay, you had an 80 Ford F100 3-speed with the 300 inline six. So that actually had, if it was bone stock, that had the Holly one barrel carb on it, which is not a very good carburetor. I never had luck with mine. I just got rid of it and put the Motorcraft 2100 on it and never looked back. Um, and because those carburetors, they do have issues. Now, I will say the inline six, there are some vacuum lines that do help with the cold starts and stuff like that most people get rid of. I know I did. Or at least I got rid of it when I did my carb swap, to be honest. I kept all that stuff on there. But my choke wire kind of melted for the electric choke, so I just zip tied the choke open for a while. And, it's one of these things I just got by because I didn't want to rebuild the carburetor, and I didn't want to just, fix the wire for that electric choke because there was something wrong. Something caused that to melt, and it wasn't just it hitting the intake because how it was routed, it wasn't going to do that. So it was like, what caused that to melt? And it's one of those things where electrical can be a pain in the ass that way. And that's, yep, NHL saying game start, which hasn't started quite yet there. NHL. Yeah, manual choke does help, honestly, especially with cold starts. Like, you can open it, and you just gotta figure out depending on the weather. And also it depends on it doesn't just depend on how cold it is. Because other things that do equate to your car not starting as well, and it's not just temperature, it's even, if it's wet out, like if it's humid, or if it's dry out, anything like that can affect how your car starts and runs. um that's just about every car that doesn't have an ECU to compensate typically, for stuff. Awesome. I'm live. There we go. Just letting my buddy know that hey, I'm live. If you wanted to come in or not. Um, but yeah, it's just one of those things. Everything affects it, and like I said, those one barrel carbs, they're just not great. People run them, and they work okay. Their adjustments aren't the best, and because I can never get that carburetor to go right. Now I needed a rebuild as well, but I didn't want to rebuild it, to be honest. I had a rebuild kit. Oh yeah, sold Papa Smurf last summer. That car's long gone now. It was just coming across roadblock after roadblock with the car and not really having the money to pour into it. Just made us sell the car because the fuel tank was buggered. So like I tried to clean the fuel tank, but it got rusty, and I could have potentially, honestly, fixed the fuel tank. Like I could have, cut it, bet metal, weld it back in, and then make sure it's sealed, that way, and ran it that way. But just didn't do that, to be honest. But yeah, so no, Papa Smurf is gone, long gone. Because if you saw my videos in the summertime, you would know that. Like the only cars that I still have, I still have the Vrook. I have my 83 or yeah 83 convertible parts car, and I have an '04 Dakota, and then I also have my 81 and 86 Mustang. Now I am attempting to sell the Vrook and the Dakota. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with yet. That might get sold too. Other than that, no other vehicles. Because the Magnum is my dad's, so don't even consider that. Because I don't even want that thing. But yeah, it's just one of these things, And like prospects for vehicles right now, I just have my two or the three that actually run. Technically, the parts car does run. I have driven that thing around the yard, and it's freaking hilarious because it has no doors in it, has no seat belts. Now the seats are, not exactly bolted in because I robbed the carpet out of it, and I don't know what I'll do. What I'll do with that carpet, we'll see. I thought about putting it in my convertible. Breaking up the red a bit by putting that black carpet in would actually look pretty good, but we shall see if I do that or not. Because that carpet's freaking mint. There's nothing wrong with it. So it's just unfortunate. Like, too bad that parts car wasn't a full parts car because I would have robbed a bunch of different parts off of it. But it's because I'm basically like the parts car. Gotta cut the rear quarters out of it for Lilo, and after that, the car might just get scrapped because I don't really need it. I didn't think about though. Just like what would be fun with that car is turning it into kind of a version of like the vet cart. So have this convertible Mustang, and like put a 302 in it. You don't have to produce so much power. Hell, I could even keep the 3.8 V6 that it has, because that 3.8 is actually that's one's pretty good. It seems. It smokes a bit, but that honestly could just put more of a Mr. Oil in it. It'd probably fix that, to be honest. And I could just do that. It's got a functional C4 automatic, and there's no shifter. So it's funny. There is no actual shifter in the car. It is straight up just a cable right now. So it was really fun figuring out. Okay, so I grabbed to get it into gear easier. I grabbed a screwdriver and I pulled it out or pushed it in to figure out what gear I'm in. It was pretty fun, actually. And if you've never driven a car without doors on it before, I encourage you to do so because it's one of the most fun things on the planet. And welcome, Brian. Welcome to the live stream. It's a pleasure to have you here. Yeah, I don't know how much longer I'll be alive for, but we'll see. Because we actually have a good live going so far. Decent chat volume and stuff like that, and good amount of views. Well, thank you. Hey, all good, Brian. I wasn't honestly when I send the links out, it's not to be like, hey, you need to be here. It's just if you can, cool. If not, no worries. It's not a big deal. So, yeah. And to my knowledge, there's currently no other updates on the EFI stuffs from Shane. So, because that EFI head the car's gonna get, which I can't wait for that. That'd be so cool. But that will be in a few months probably. Because just need to get everything. Like, he works fast. Like, he does good work and he works fast. So, and that's the one thing. Typically, fast is not good, but with him, it is. But actually, so something. Because I didn't really go too much in depth about that. Let's see if I can find that. I just have to go. Dark Horses Mustang Club. That's what I was trying to find. There we go. And so many comments on this thread. Like, holy crap. Because there was this guy, and he always trolls me. That, because basically, he starts out, the last video I posted, and again, it's just in the Facebook group. He posts, looks like stock still. And I'm going, nah, not really. Not at all, right? That thing has changed a lot from stock. And I said to him, I replied, well, if you watch the video, you'll see how it was when it was stock. It's not anymore. 6 3/4 with 273 swapped out with 88 with a limited slip and 355s. T5 manual from an 83 Mustang V8 that replaced the C4 automatic. Deleted all the emissions under the hood and gave it a dual exhaust. The stock Holley 1101 barrel has been swapped for a Motorcraft 2102 barrel. It does have a double roller timing chain, and internally the engine is stock for now. So, and he goes, so essentially it's still stock is what you're saying. That's what he said back to me. I just put, no, it's not at all. Motor internally, yes. Everything else, just about, no, is an upgrade. It's faster than my 86 V8. Granted, that's a tire 302. That's a non-high output, but still. And he says 4-ish or so modifications, depending on how you want to count them, still seems pretty stock to me. And the one thing is, I have done a few compression tests on the car, because again, like I mentioned earlier, it's if your car is down on power and giving you a lot of problems, a compression test is not a bad thing to kind of narrow stuff down. And it did narrow it down, because it basically meant, okay, it's likely not an internal motor issue. That's what I came across whenever I had problems with it. And then I kind of stopped replying at that point. I just, all this stuff. And my buddy Keith went on this guy quite a bit. Now, something, and because I put even putting the cup holders I did in the car, that is a modification that's just nice for just, daily driver use, right? Because I drive the car a lot. I put a lot of miles on it. So it's nice to have cup holders. If it was just a toy that I didn't drive very often, that's different. Like my 86. I probably, even though I put a lot of miles on that car in the summertime, I probably won't put cup holders in that car. Because I'm not going to cut that one up, like cut that center console up like I did mine. Right? It's just one of these things. So yeah, because even like I put the center console in the car and I cut the front of it off and put the cup holders in, and he got hung up on that quite a bit, which I don't understand because that did take a bit of work to do and figuring out the geometry of everything to make sure it's gonna work. Because I did have to move it back, you know, to make it work. Um, so it's not stock location, and technically, like, it's not properly done yet because it's not properly mounted. It's only held in with 2 screws at the moment. So, it's one of these things. But I had to figure out, even with that, of the front of it because all the weight on those stock center consoles are up front with the onboard computer that they have and the little clock that they have. And the onboard computer, basically all it is, it shows if it has a low fuel light on it, which is like if you have like 10 liters of fuel, it comes on, which you still can drive a bit of distance on that, but it's kind of funny that when it comes on. And then there are other ones that say, hey, are your tail lights, your headlights working properly, and your signal lights? And then there's also, if your washer fluid is low, it'll let you know that, right? Just simple little sensor stuff. That's it. But in that car, I didn't need it. Well, exactly. Well, the dumb part about this guy, because because even like Keith was going off on this guy, and and saying like, yeah, we put a more free flowing exhaust on the car, and he spent a lot of hours on that car, which he has. He's helped me out a lot on that car, and this guy just kept going off and not realizing. Like, now, here's the dumb part about this, because he calls out Keith saying, "You probably love electric cars and whatever else like that." And Keith goes, "No, honestly, I actually despise them." Well, apparently this buddy, and I don't know why he commented this, but he actually owns a Mustang Mach-E, that electric SUV. So why would you call out somebody for loving electric cars if you drive one? I don't understand that at all. Like, it's just some idiots in the car hobby. They're just ridiculous. They're moronic. And exactly, like, that's the one thing. You don't need to put a bunch of power to your car to make it, like the for modification. And technically speaking, all the mods I've done have added about 30 or 40 horsepower to the car anyways. And made it faster and better acceleration. And it's just, yeah, it's just funny. But yeah, that car is a lot faster than anything else. And what do you mean that the Lincoln tells you everything? What do you mean by that? But yeah, I just just dumb people like that, and I've come across those people, or like even there's other people that say, "Hey, your Mustang isn't a Mustang if it doesn't have a V or a 302 in it," which is just so asinine of a thing to say. It really is, because there have been far more non V8 Mustangs sold than V8 Mustangs, far more. And that's one of these things where like, and even like talking with because my buddy Braden, he does want. I told him that it's probably not viable to fix his current Mustang. It's just kind of a pile. Like, I wouldn't. I'd use that thing as a parts car, take everything that's good out of it, and scrap the rest. Right? Just scrap it, because it's in very bad shape, that car, or at least it seems like it from what we saw when it was buried in a bunch of snow. And that's before like getting it on a lift or something like that. Because I told him, like, when the snow melts out there, we can revisit this. Of seeing about this car. But I told him, you're better off just finding a clean shell and dropping all your good stuff into it. And like I told him, I can find him a Fox body for about 1,000, maybe a little more, that runs and drives. To be honest, that you can, and likely an automatic, but he has all the stuff to convert it to a manual. So really, it's not too bad. Ah, okay. Because honestly, I didn't know on. Yes. Whew, that was close. Oh yeah, the So the stock ones tell you that too. Um, like on like on my Mustang, it does tell me that on the 86. But I just didn't care for that stuff, to be honest, on my 81. You know, I just would much rather have cup holders than that. But yeah, like, and that's what it does, because like I can go through that, because like there's a little test button to make sure, hey, is everything actually working? You can press that too, and it'll show you as well. But if it is if there's something that's not working properly, it will be lit up. Um, if you just drive down the road. So it's honestly it's a good little system, but it's just not something that I cared for to have in my 81. So that's all it is. But in like honestly, in honor of Buddy there, you know, making those comments about a custom car, who knows? I might make a video soon that literally says what actually makes a custom car, you know? Because there are some people that are just kind of dumb that way, right? That don't understand this crap at all. And because like in that video, you see how the car was when I first got it. It's completely transformed now. It almost doesn't look like the same car. And especially once it's painted. Once the full car is painted, it's gonna turn some heads a lot more than it does now. Because I still get the people that I do get thumbs up every now and then in that car. It's not as much as my 86. The 86 just looks like a cleaner car because the paint's a little nicer. And the interior looks a little nicer too. Which, like that car needs a dash pad, 100%. But, other than that, interior wise, and then like the seats are faded, you know? Other than that, the interior is pretty much mint in that car. So, which I need to figure out, because I should be able to re-dye those seats, and I do want to, but we shall see. But and also because like, I do want to, because I can kind of envision it, and it would look kind of good. Because I have a black carpet from my parts car, and I do kind of want to put it in the car. Because all of it, there's a bunch of red in that. It's just all red. Damn it. Ah, 1-1 now. Damn it, the Flames were just dominating them, but Arizona's coming back in this game. But, we'll see. We'll see what I do. Because putting a carpet in a car is kind of a pain in these, because you do have to take apart a lot of the interior. Like, the seats have to come out, center console has to come out. You do have to take out um, the kick panels. Those have to come out. And for the back, actually, you do have to take out the um, kind of the C-pillar plastic stuff on the convertible as well. You had to do it on the notchbacks as well, and hatchbacks for that matter. But yeah, it's one of those things, and we'll see. And that's a proper convertible carpet. So and it's black, so it just accent the interior a little better. But I don't know. We'll see. I might keep the red and just try and sell that black carpet. I don't know yet. But because I do know that notchback, hatchback, and convertible carpets are technically different. Because there are some bracing points in convertibles that, are a little different. So that's why, I thought about maybe putting a black carpet in Stitch. Then I realized, nah, not that one. I can't do that. So it's fine. I'll just keep the red. Keep the red carpet, and then eventually I'll properly fix the headliner because it doesn't match the car. I think because it might be a notchback or a hatchback headliner, or maybe like a Mustang 2 headliner. I haven't figured that out yet, to be honest, looking at it. Because there's a lot of stuff that stayed the same between them. But it's not long enough at all. Like there's a good portion of it out back. But I had an idea about that. Because I could effectively make it so when I do that, so the back, there's about that much of it that, oh, why are you not focused? Yeah, let's do this. I don't know why it's not focused. Sorry, guys. No idea why it's doing that. Oh, that's hard to look at even for me. Okay, what is going on? Well, might just have to wait for the quality to come back, because I don't know why it's doing this. All of a sudden, it just got really blurry. Ugh. Come on. Okay, and it's saying connection is unstable, that's why. Come on. Come on, baby. You can do it. I believe in you. I mean, still showing that it's good internet. Is it just YouTube doing that? I'm just looking. Yeah, it doesn't say that there's a problem with the internet. I don't know if this continues for the next couple minutes. I might just have to end the stream. This is the problem because let's take a look at my phone here. It's so funny that I get ads on my phone. Yeah, it's not the camera. See, I can cover up the camera and do that. It's my internet that's causing this. Unfortunately, it's not. Like I said, it's not. Yeah, unfortunately, I wish I don't know how to fix this. It's one of these things because there's nothing I can edit in here, is there? No, there's not. And I don't know why it's doing this. I wonder. Hang on. Could I? I don't think this is